Hey everyone, welcome back to TK's Tech Talk. I'm TK and this is TTKK. So if you know from previous videos, this is the trusty kitchen knife. And we are back for another unboxing video. Well, two unboxings. A Thermaltake Smart 500 watt power supply and a Thermaltake Core V1 Snow Edition Mini ITX case. So I'm just going to unbox the power supply just because I got it at the same time as the case. I know there's not much exciting to see about a power supply, so let's just quickly talk about that while we're here. This is the 500 watt Smart Power 80 plus white, as you can see here, and that's quite important when buying a power supply these days, just to make sure you have the right power efficiency. So give me a second, let me get rid of the other box and we will unbox the power supply first. Okay, so while I unbox this, it looks like it's got a 5-year warranty. Not sure if that's going to be on it even now, because I know this is not the newest power supply on the face of the planet. But let's just open this up. I got this really cheap actually on Amazon UAE. I seem to buy everything from Amazon UAE, right? It's just the easiest way to shop right now in a pandemic, and you can get these next day deliveries and Prime and things like that. So it just makes it a little bit easier to shop. And obviously the best deals are always online, especially for random items like this. So let's have a look inside the box. So we've got some bedtime reading, really interesting bedtime reading. This might actually be some useful bedtime reading in case, oh, lost the camera, in case you do want to see how to connect your power supply or what's included inside the power supply. But I'll leave that to you. I'm not going to go into all the details of that. Just want to see what it looks like and what it comes with. So we have what looks like a European power lead. And then we have the power supply itself, some tasty silica gel. So obviously the one thing about this budget power supply is it is all connected to the power supply itself. So let me just zoom out a little bit and let's take the packaging off. Right, so let's have a quick look at the specifications. So one of the important things here, especially if you're going to be using some sort of graphics card, is this 38 amp rating. So you'll see that the 12 volt 38 amp is the biggest wattage that you can have for the 38 amp rail. And if you have a graphics card which is using a certain amount of power, maybe like 200 watts, it will come from this 38 amp rail. As far as I know, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But to the best of my knowledge, this is what's important these days, especially for the big graphics cards. And obviously this is only a 500 watt, it's not a massive power supply. I wouldn't expect anyone to be buying this specifically for gaming, but just let's have a quick look around. It's got a nice big fan there, power switch, which is nice to have. Again, this is the Smart series, so it has an 80 plus white. Just to point out here, if you buy the light power, it does not have, to the best of my knowledge, a smart rating, 80 plus rating. And on this side, again, the same. So that's about it for the power supply. And again, it is only 500 watts. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to try this with my PC case. If I have it, not my PC case, with my current PC that I have, which some of you may have seen the parts that I have used to build that PC. And I will see which has an RX 570 graphics card. So we'll see if it can power that and if it's sufficient for something which requires, like, I think it's 120 watts or 200 watts, I can't remember now. Anyway, I'm just babbling now. So let's get back to the main star of this show, the Thermaltake Core V1. And this, as you can see, is the Snow Edition. What does that mean? It's not snowing inside, it's the white version, right? That's why it's called the Snow Edition. So again, if anybody's interested, I forgot to mention the 500 watt power supply I bought from Amazon UAE for about 110 dirhams. It's about 20 pounds, right? It's very cheap. I don't know what that converts to in US dollars, maybe like $22 or $23 or something like that. So it was very cheap for a 500 watt 80 plus power supply. It's good if you have a machine, maybe a machine that you're going to build in a case like this, because what's interesting about this mini ITX case, it does actually take a full ATX power supply, which is one of the reasons I got it. And right now, guys, if you are in the UAE, this case is extremely cheap. It's on for like 70 dirhams. It's about 15 pounds, which is about $18 or $19, whatever it is. It is ridiculously cheap. I actually don't have a system to build in it. I just bought it because I like the form factor, like the fact that it has drive bays, full ATX PSU support, which makes it easier to buy a PSU, because otherwise SFX PSUs are hard to find and generally more expensive than your traditional power supply. So let's quickly open this box up, get TTKK back in the picture. It's been a while since my last video, and the funny thing is, the last thing I unboxed was also a case, and that was a pink case. Again, I haven't used that either, and that was also really cheap from Amazon UAE. They're still there if you want to grab one, by the way. They've got a few left in stock. They're around 70 or 80 dirhams at the moment. And it's a bit smaller than this case as far as I know. The only thing about this one, again, like I said, is that it might be a little bit bigger, but there is obviously more room inside. It has the support for the ATX, full ATX power supply. And there we go. So that's case in there. So let me just take that out of the box. So if you guys have any specific questions about any of these cases or any of the computer components that I've unboxed recently, you would have seen that I did actually build my own PC, and I unboxed yet another case for that. That was the Cooler Master NR400, if I remember the number correctly, which is the micro ATX case. So let's just get rid of all of this packaging quickly. I apologize about the bad light again, you know, I have difficulty recording during the day because of work and things like that. It's just going dark here. Thought I'd try and get the video in before the sun goes down. Unfortunately, looks like the sun has gone down. Oh, bear with me a second. So, let me remove the plastic before I talk. Okay, so I just wanted to do that because somebody did point out to me that at one point I was talking one of my videos, they couldn't make out, and I do appreciate comments like that. You know, I'd rather have constructive feedback rather than just negative comments. It really does help us to improve videos for the viewers, as in myself, to improve videos for the people who are watching. So now, okay, so this is a nice perforated front. Let's have a look on the side. So we have two USB 3 ports, microphone, headphone, reset button, power button, and LEDs. And then on the back, as you can see now, I'm hoping this is clear enough. So we can see here, this is the full ATX power supply. What's good about this case over the Silverstone that I unboxed earlier is that the power supply sits at the bottom. It doesn't sit above the motherboard. What's good about that, you can put whatever size power supply you want in there, and it will not impact the cooling fans for the processor. So that's really important. That's why I prefer this design. Obviously, I don't know which one's better, but I prefer this design, full ATX power supply. The Silverstone also had that, the pink case I'm talking about. And then we have the motherboard tray here with the faceplate, two small fans. I think these are 80mm fans. And we have a dual PCI slot cover there. And then on this side, we have just another side panel. So what's interesting about all of these side panels is that they can actually be interchanged. You can put this on this side, so if you feel your PC looks nicer on this side, you can put the window on this side. The one thing people have complained about, again, I'm not gonna complain at this price because it's just too cheap to complain about. It's like having a very cheap case. So this is plastic. People complain about the plastic. At this price, I wouldn't worry about the plastic. You know, even this white plastic, I don't know if you guys can see this, maybe it's been lying around for a while. There is a different shade there, isn't it? And that's natural because this is plastic and this is metal. But usually people don't get it that bad. Now, I don't know if it's been lying around for a while and it's become like that. But again, something to point out. So let's just quickly open this up and have a look inside. So we've got nice thumb screws to open all of the panels up. So if we just open one of them up quickly. Whoops, that's gone for a walk. There we go. So this is the Perspex side. Again, they're all the same. You can, because it's a cube, you can put them on any side that you want. And what's nice about this case, it also does take a very big graphics card. So let's just take all of the panels off first, if I can do that easily, so that we can take a quick look inside. Don't want to bore you guys too much, but I'm just doing this so that you guys can see what the case is like inside. I know it's an old case. You may already have seen lots of videos about it. Maybe I'll say something that somebody else missed. Maybe somebody else say something that I missed. And you know, we can all help each other in this way to make sure that everyone gets the best information about an item. So that's the reason I'm unboxing this case, just to tell you that there is a great deal on Amazon UAE if you live in the UAE. So let's take all of the panels off. They're all off. And let's take a look inside. So let's just move a bit closer, fix the camera angle quickly. There we go. So as I mentioned earlier, let's zoom out a little bit. That's better. I think that's a lot better. Please do give me feedback about whether my camera angle is good, bad, ugly. You know, are you able to see things clearly or not? It will help me also make sure that you guys are getting the right sort of quality in the video and are able to see what I'm trying to demonstrate. So let's quickly go through what's inside the case. So obviously we have all the I/O cables here, all the I/O cables here. We have a massive, I think it's a 200mm fan here at the front. So this is obviously going to be very good for cooling. And as I mentioned earlier, can I just rip this out? Let's just leave it there for now. So inside, this is the motherboard tray, right? So the motherboard sits over here. Now with the motherboard here, as I mentioned before, is that the power supply sits at the bottom. And with the power supply being at the bottom, we have no interference to cooling. All of this space is open here for cooling. Now that's one thing that I want to mention here. So what I would recommend is maybe put one of these plates on the top to allow for better cooling, because the Perspex one won't give that great an option, right? So it might be better to use one of these because it's all holes, rather than have the Perspex one on the top and maybe put the Perspex one on the side. Okay, so let's move over to this side. So here we have the two drive cages. So these support 3.5 and 2.5mm bays. So you can see from here that they can easily be pulled out with thumb screws if you don't require them, if you're going to be having just your NVMe drive inside your motherboard. And then looking from this angle, we can see the PCIe covers for once your motherboard is installed inside the case. So I will try, let's have a quick look at the bottom. I actually missed doing this on the pink case, I just remembered. So let's have a quick look at the bottom. So the base has now 4 feet, obviously. So I know there were people complaining, this plastic does feel very cheap, by the way. Again, at this price, please don't complain. It's a relatively cheap case at this price, but mine are fine, so I'm not going to complain about that. And this is obviously the filter for the power supply, so that you can clean it easily, and you can, if you really want, you can just remove it. So that's just a quick look at this case. I hope that it sort of helps you understand how the case works. I believe the front panel does come off. I'm not going to try and rip it off right now, and that is to allow for a larger graphics card. So just have a quick look in here. The larger graphics card will actually fit from here up to the end of this, so you can actually fit a very large graphics card. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but I'm sure that you can find that information on any good website or on any other good video as well. So if there's anything specific you want to know about this case, please do feel free to ask, and I will try and answer that for you. But in the meantime, this is the Thermaltake. Let's try and get the logo there. The Thermaltake Core V1. Oh, lost my words for a second there. And obviously we had a look at the smart 500 watt power supply as well. And naturally, this power supply, shall we just try it quickly, will fit inside this case because it is a full ATX power supply. So let's try and put that inside quickly. Just dump it in there, assuming it goes in. Oh, does it go in like that? Ah, no, sorry. You know what? We'll have to leave that for another time. I think we're going to have to remove either the tray or the bottom panel, because that also has thumb screws. Let me try and do it quickly. Maybe it will help you if I do that. Just so you can see how it is. So this just comes out. There we go. Done. It's becoming more and more like a cube as I remove each panel, and I believe I can actually remove all of them, and that would be quite cool. So now I can just take my full power supply and literally put it inside here. There we go. In. You know what? I'll even put a couple of screws in so that you can see what it looks like. Where is the, there you go. So let's just put, obviously when you're building a PC you don't do it like this, but lost a screw. Fun and games for all the viewers. Let's try again. Okay, got a better chance of getting it right this time. I'm just going to put a couple of my thumb screws that I just removed from the case because they're usually threaded the same way. So there you go, there's a little tip for you guys there, just in case you didn't know that. Though I don't know why you'd want to nick screws from your own case to do that in the first place, but let's just plug that in. I really wish I had a board that I could use to build this machine, because it's such a fun project, especially at this sort of price point, to build something like this. So let's put the bottom tray back on. And there we go. So there it is. It's installed, the 500 watt power supply. And the best thing, like I said, all of the space at the top is still available. Obviously, probably turn that around the other way. You don't want your fan blowing onto your motherboard. I should have paid attention to that. See, now that's something to think about. Make sure you don't make this mistake when you're building your PC. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. Please feel free to like and subscribe if you do enjoy this content and find it useful. And I'll see you in the next one.